Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome once again to another Monday here on We the People. Tonight, we have a very uh, unusual guest delving into some things that we don't normally do, like societal engineering and things of that type. Um, I'm going to introduce him to you shortly. He should be on right around the 10 after mark. Uh, but Stanley has his only own show on Spotify, which we will also plug as usual. We try to plug each other's podcast. But another thing that I kind of wanted to, excuse me, let me put that on silent. Okay, there you go. I wanted to talk a little bit about. You always see the uh, banner down there, "We the People," presented by the Diamond Factory. One of the purposes, well, the main purpose of the Diamond Factory is to give persons that are disadvantaged information that they might not normally have access to. And not only do we hope to give them inspiration, I mean, information, but we also hope to give them inspiration. Um, I know from experience that once you are separated from mainstream society for a certain amount of for a certain amount of time, that you have to get reindoctrinated. Can you imagine a person that was, say, incarcerated in 2010, and uh, just the advances in the iPhone? It's a complete computer now. You can do almost anything that you want from a laptop or a main uh, stream computer right here on your phone. There's enough apps for you to do anything from, uh, gathering information to, making, like I do, a spectacle of myself every Monday. No, seriously. Uh, the Diamond Factory is to give homeless, those that have been recently incarcerated, or maybe not recently, but have just come home from incarceration. Uh, Veterans that have went through incarceration. This is to give them, like I said, inspiration as well as uh, information. And some of the groups that uh, I'm talking to are willing to help give you that information or point you in the right direction if you have an occupation or something that you wish to pursue. Um, and you can actually go to our website, the diamondfactory.org, and you can see where we actually are right now trying to get our directory up, and this will give uh, information uh, for homeless, disabled, uh, recently released. Whatever you need, we are hoping to put in this directory. It'll be everything from the Salvation Army, Father Joe's, all of the organizations that you need uh, to come out and help you to succeed. And that's uh, there are various organizations. You don't have to necessarily adhere to any uh, religion or creed. The only thing you have to do is be willing to put in the work. Excuse me. Let me see if I can grab it. I should get some endorsements for as much Sprite as I drink, but you need you need something for a parched throat. Uh, so as I was saying, you can go to the diamondfactory.org, and if you are an organization or if you know of an organization that might be helpful to someone that is homeless or that needs the information, or the inspiration to get off the street, uh, the hope of a job. Um, there are, a lot of things that we can actually do at this particular time uh, to try and help another brother. Not, and when I say brother, I mean whether it's the same brother, whether it's the brother by another mother. If you see someone that needs help, help them. It's the main thing. Don't be afraid to get involved. I think that's one of the biggest things that I see as a hindrance to being united is just the fact that we are not together. uh, and we would much rather adhere to the crab theory than adhere to the, lift another brother up. I see my guest is here in the queue, so let me bring Stan here up.
Hey,
Greetings.
Mr. James.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty well. Pretty well. Thank you for having me on.
No problem whatsoever. I was trying to get the audience a little prepped up here for you, but I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself to our audience, uh, especially because I want them to know how to pronounce your name properly. So I, I'm going to say Stan.
Yeah, Stan is just fine. That works perfectly well.
Okay, so
Okay,
uh,
yeah.
so Stan, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
All right.
A little
Hello
personal
and
plug.
yeah, hello and thank you for having me on. Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley Ekuge. Um, my background is a bit of a mosaic. I've worked in everything, everywhere: sales, data analysis, logistics. Um, Currently in business development. And academically, I am currently working on my doctorate in global business management. I have a master's in business, data science, and undergrad in risk management. With my undergrad is in risk management. I currently own a small business called Cura Advisory, where we help clients, mostly small businesses, um, turn risk assessment into actionable growth plans. Finally, I host a podcast called the Qualia Experienc podcast. Um, we talk mostly about societal evolution. We also talk about social engineering and philosophy sometimes, and also we get into metaphysical issues.
Okay, so what inspired you to create your podcast, the Qualia Experience?
Yeah, Quality Experience podcast. Um, what it was just I got into it when I started my doctorate program. It was something that helped me stay focused. It was something to make the whole s- schooling enjoyable. It was more like started something to keep me sane because it was a lot of work. And I love philosophy. I love to talk about politics. Although the podcast is not focused on politics, we don't talk much about politics, but that's something that I love doing. So I slip that in, once in a while. I love to talk about social affairs and evolution, um, and also, you know, just in general, like spirituality and religion, metaphysical things that are unseen. Yeah. So
Yes.
these are my interests and things that excite me in discussion. So that's why I started the podcast, just to keep busy, not for any other reason. I didn't start it to make money or anything. It was just to be sane and enjoy my time while I'm in school for my doctorate.
Uh, yeah, I can really understand that. It's kind of how this podcast started and then evolved. Uh, so, how did you define qualia or in the context of your work?
Yeah. Qualia means it's a subjective experience. Um, it's something you can describe to somebody. That's the general meaning. That's what it really means. But in my context, it just means that it's kind of, I use that term just because the spirit, the metaphysical world is something that is subjective. It's not really objective. We all can have different experiences, and even though it might be similar, there's no way you can really explain metaphysical or the unknown or spirituality to another one. Everybody has to find their own awareness. So in that's why I use the name, because it kind of matches what we do. Just for the fact that qualia is a subjective experience of consciousness. So in that sense, we also discuss about philosophical and metaphysical things, and those are things that humans experience subjectively.
So, initially, what initially drew you into exploring the topics like science, politics, spirituality?
It has always been fun for me as a kid. I wasn't raised really religious, so I think that's a good thing. I think that kind of,
Yes, yes,
le-
yes.
yeah, I was, yeah. So,
Being a preacher's son, I can definitely tell you that is that's a very good thing.
I think that's a really, really good thing, because that helped me explore and look into every other aspect of life. Looked into other um, religions, and I have people in my family who were religious, but they found it themselves. My parents were never the ones to make you, go to church or do stuff like that. But we were all born. So I heard, because when I grew up, I didn't know much what was going on when I was little. So I heard we are all born in the Catholic Church, but we kind of left. It wasn't. We were not really serious Catholic goers. So I
Okay.
guess my brothers. I'm the last child, so I guess my older ones all grew out of it, and I also had questions even as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, that religion couldn't answer. So that kind of made me drift away from the religious thing and more into spirituality, because then I can find my own self and my own awareness. And when I walk around and I find other people in that same mindset, that help me even grow more and explore more.
Yeah, I want to get in a little bit more into spirituality and religion a little further down in our conversation. But uh, some terms that I'm sure my audience might not be familiar with, and some terms that I had to look up myself because as you know, we are, always evolving and
Learning. We're all learning. Yeah.
and I mean, things that there's no longer you can't get along, with that degree that you have in basket weaving. Uh, you know, you know, uh,
I
uh,
hear you.
I mean, I'm a former athlete too, so
Okay.
you know, I kind of know, like instead of going, the class, you go down to the coach's office and kick it, and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
So,
Times have changed.
so I want to talk about the societal evolution and social engineering. I know, like I said, we really might not, some of us, have had to look at that, or like, what do you mean, societal evolution, social engineering? So, do you believe? I've had a gentleman on previously that said that he believes that mankind intellectually is moving into a second evolution. So, do you believe that society evolves naturally? Or do you think there is a level of intentional social engineering in play?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's a bit of both. Um, Societal evolution is organic. It's what we come together as a people to agree upon. Like the norms of the society, like culture. Um, it evolves with time. Um, I remember, look, I'm originally from Nigeria, and I know growing up hearing stories of when they used to maybe kill twins because they felt it was an abomination. Albinos, um, stories from the past that we have evolved from, socially, societally, and that's societal evolution. That's when we change organically, when things get right, when we get on higher grounds, organically as a people together. On the other hand, social engineering is a direct influence, kind of a structural change, which it mostly is being implemented not organically, but with a goal in mind. So let's say social engineering, I always, when you use the word engineering, you can see it's structural. When the government mostly influences that, there's a direct cause, there's a goal, there's some goal that's trying to be reached. Um, you know, for example, is let's say manipulating the news, um, propaganda, um, algorithm manipulation, where you want people to start thinking a certain way and taking certain actions. Mass media, news, and like I said, propaganda to make people think in a certain way, and those are all engineering, social engineering. It, yeah, various examples we can give, and maybe as we go on, I could think of more to share. But those are the kind of the difference between social societal evolution, which is organic, and then social engineering, which is structured and goal driven.
So, what are some of the signs that indicate that our society, social evolution is being directed rather than organic?
Some of the signs would be suppression of, let's say, suppression of science. I would say, um, the rapid change of norms, like direct change. For example, the nothing against people who are gay or trans or whatever, but when it's done by the government, like when they implement laws to make you use a certain pronoun or name, those are signs to see that things are changing in a structural way, It's been engineered from top to the bottom. Not it's supposed to be from the bottom up, not from the top down. So when you see those changes come as laws and policies, to change the way we think, to change the way we behave, those are all signs of social engineering. There might be little stuff. There might be commercials on TV. There might be just the the media having a certain goal and to push an agenda. Those are all signs you see here and there to know that those changes are coming.
Oh man, I can already tell that I'm going to have to ask you back on the show. But yeah, let's kind of. I mean, you touched on a few things that are very close to me. So,
Yeah, yeah.
how does technology and media influence the shaping of societal narratives?
It's like an agenda. The kids watch TV, so if you don't catch this generation, you catch the second one. Social media, if it's not organic, if the government has a hand in it, or people in power have a hand in it. And don't get me wrong, it's not always wrong. It's not always bad. So it's not like every time the government has a policy or something, it's a bad move or it's not good. Sometimes social engineering is needed, um, to get things going, to get policies going, to get, let's say, for example, the poor or the homeless, to have things that would help change the way they think and get them out of the situation they are. And when the government, comes in to help, that's also a good way that social engineering works and changes the mind of how we think about those who are less than us. So it's not always bad. It's also can be a good thing. It's just that we have to be very cautious to as a people to have discernment and what is good and bad in both ways, whether it be organic or not.
So, in what ways, and I've spoken of, progress. In what ways do you see AI and algorithms contributing to the control of public perception? I think we've seen this in uh, Facebook. We've
Yeah,
seen this in what was formerly Twitter. Uh, you know, uh, so I mean, what what do we do here? Like I said, I mean, I have a couple programs that I run, like that are very familiar with me, and sometimes type things faster than I do.
yeah, yeah. It has a big influence. It's not gonna be. We're not gonna feel the changes for maybe another 1 or 2 decades. It's a way off, but it's starting, and it's gonna when it comes, the shift is gonna be real huge. It's gonna be like the computer era when we move from not knowing what a laptop is to knowing what a laptop is. It's a total shift. It's gonna be major.
I,
So
I, I remember when, like, uh, and this is really going to probably tell my age here, but there was a key punch class. You had to have a suitcase.
yeah,
You had to carry around a suitcase, in order to program. Computers were as big as a room.
yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, I've seen some of the commercials from
Yeah,
IBM back in the
I
days.
mean,
Yeah,
actually, you rented it out. You had a building, and the building, you put the computer in, and now, you can put a panel in, or uh, AI, whatever. I mean, like I said, anything that you can do on a laptop, you can practically do on your phone.
yeah, that is true. Yeah. And now they're having chips being implanted and stuff. Yeah, it's a long road. It's gonna happen. And like I said, it's not necessarily bad. It's just the way it's been used. AI, it's not good or bad. It's just the way you use it. So if it's gonna be used for bad, it's gonna be big bad. It's gonna be very effective. If it's gonna be used for good, then it's gonna be really really effective too. So it's just the way we use the technology that would matter, would count, and we just have to be careful with the coming generation. So at least they could be aware of themselves as part of a society and not just rely on everything to be technology. Because once they give it all up to technology, like you said, the AI thing, we seem to start losing empathy, what makes us human, which we can see now. If you, I'm not saying there haven't been bad things happening in the past, but nowadays when you hear kids talking and how they feel about things, they seem to lack a little bit of connection with other people because computers have put a bridge between us. And once you have that bridge and once you have that disconnect, you start to lose empathy as a human being. And that's when you start seeing a fellow human being as just a subject or an object or something you can use or someone you can manipulate. And this trickles down to every area of life, including relationships. Relationships, then it's not what it used to be. I mean, I'm not that old. I'm 43, but I can tell you when I was growing up, it's not the same thing as now. It's totally different. And those are the things that technology can influence. So it could be bad or good. It's just the way we use it.
Yeah, I come from that '60s and '70s generation. I can't, so I'm not.
It's way different.
I'm not the one to talk to about relationships.
I don't even want to go there, believe me. Yeah, that's another podcast show on its own.
Yes, it is, most definitely. But let's talk a little bit about the politicalization of science, because uh, things that I got vaccinated for when I was a young man going to school. Some of them don't exist anymore, such as well, not well controllable, have but one of the first vaccines that we had to get was the Salk vaccine against polio. But then you also got a vaccine against whooping cough, the mumps, the measles, and like I'm seeing in the news where we have outbreaks of measles because all of a sudden people don't trust science. They don't trust vaccines. So, so how does science shift from being objective uh, pursuit into becoming a, I guess, a weapon with political agenda? You have, well, that's another program too. Anyway, so
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. It's a
but how do people reject science that has been proven for years and years and years, and now all of a sudden, because X, Y, and Z say that science, or you don't need it anymore, but my grandkid got measles. you know, I mean, really? Are you serious? It's 2024, and but you understand what I'm saying.
yeah, definitely. And it's a dangerous place. It's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous place, and the shift the shift is happening rapidly. I think is because it profits. People are making money off people not knowing, being ignorant. Social media is a tool to do that. We can see that every day. Most of the people at the top who push these lies know the truth. They're not ignorant. They're smart people. They know science works. They know you have to take this. Um, you take your shots. They take it. They know, but they sell it to the people who do not. People who don't do research, who don't want to learn, which is wrong, which wasn't the way it was before, until social media came in, until we could talk to somebody in another country just by opening a screen, and then found out that we can market the slides and make money off it, and people could donate to you and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, so it is very dangerous, and science and politics should not be in the same conversation. They shouldn't be in the same place. Those are two different things. Politics is a mess. Science should be objective, like you said, and should not be influenced. But now we have it all modeled up, and it's very dangerous because now our policies can be relied on because we don't know what the agenda is. If the person making the policies are even educated enough to do it, you can see what's happening lately in the government, where let's not go into the government, but you can see what's happening, where people, incompetent people being in charge. This is what happens when when science and politics comes together, merges. It used to be something of a debate. Science is open. You should be skeptical about it. You should debate it. You should bring your ideas. I bring mine. We put it together. We fight in argument and figure out who's on top, and find out the objective truth and go with the truth. And in science, just because your idea is not accepted was never laughed at. It wasn't something bad. It was good. It was celebrated when your thesis or your ideas fail. They would celebrate it and say, okay, so there's something else you should be looking for. But now it's when when there's politics in it, it becomes different because now there's a goal, there's an agenda. So you have to tweak the science, you have to make it work to align with the politics. And for example, global warming, um, people people in power arguing if it's true or not, if it's fake or not, which is ridiculous. So these are the problems we have when we don't separate the fields and have the experts do what they're supposed to do. And because the experts doesn't mean we shouldn't question their judgment, because questioning their judgment is also science. So, but at least we know that the people in charge and making the decisions know what they're doing, and politics should stay away from it. So hopefully, as time goes, we'll find a way to separate the two.
So now we're not only talking about you know scientific databases becoming dictated by by politics, but it seems now it's also being dictated by ideologies.
Yeah.
And we talked about spirituality a little when we first started out, and I do want to get into religion and spirituality, but when you start talking about ideologies and you start mixing ideologies, I mean, usually, like you said, you were talking about your family and the Catholic Church. With my family, it was the Baptist Church. With some other families, it might have been, a Lutheran or Episcopal church. Like, I spent some time in uh, uh, a foster home, and it was dictated by the Episcopal religion, and we had to become altar boys. There were certain things that you had, certain obligations that you had to fulfill, just like I guess, and if you were Catholic, you had to learn the catechism, so forth and so on. So when have we decided? I mean, are we like in the third crusade, what, the fifth crusade, or I mean, ideology, are there mass marches on what do you think?
Um, Nothing wrong with ideologies if they're screened well and contested. The problem is when everybody aligns to it without any context, any self thought, any independent thought. Let me put it that way. When people are no more independent, when they work and do things as a group, then it poisons the whole idea of skepticism, of putting the ideology on the table and dicing it up and saying it is a good one. And we see that recently. We see it recently in our own government, where one person with an ideology comes up and every other person below them just says yes to it, even though it's retarded. I'm sorry for using that language, even though it makes no sense. even, even,
we're
you
MA.
know,
You can you can
I don't
express.
know if there's a censor or something. I didn't mean it in the bad way. Uh, yeah. So even though it makes no sense, everybody says yes, sir. It just goes. So that's when the ideology becomes dangerous, and then when it aligns with power, like we see, it becomes even more dangerous. So that's the risk of it. Um, but when we allow to individually have um, when we allow to have the power to question um, the authority or whatever ideology that's in power, then it's okay. And that's what democracy should be, and the way it should be. Even not just in the bigger government sense of things, even in the household, even between a dad and a mom and a child. That's the way you should run, because you we are not infallible as humans. We are just humans, and we make mistakes, so we cannot be perfect. So sometimes we should be able to look into the ideas we throw out there, look back, analyze, and make sure that it's um, it's not forced, it's not authoritative, it's not a must, but it should be dissected, and then the good things in it should be taken, and whatever that it's not good or it's not profitable to the whole as a people should be left out.
But okay, so how do you interpret the use of the phrase "trust science" in today's
Trust, trust the science.
discourse? Yeah, yeah,
Trust
but
the science.
yeah, yeah.
I,
I mean, one side is calling the other side fake news. So you can't you can't believe that. You go to social media. One side is being investigated for these type of algorithms. This site is owned by China. I mean, so how do like? What do you mean trust science? Whose science?
trust the science. Trust the science is just an abuse. It's abuse of um, used to shut down any questioning, anybody that is skeptical or asking a question. It's been abused by those who know. I'm not just gonna point hands at people who are ignorant and say, oh, it's their fault because they don't know. There's nothing wrong with being ignorant. We are ignorant in a lot of things. I'm ignorant in a lot of things. I know some things and I don't know some things. So saying somebody telling somebody trust the science and not explaining the science to them just to shut them down, it's the abuse of science itself. So I've seen that being used that way, which is wrong. It should not be used. It should not be used to shut down any voice, even if it's a stupid question. No matter how bad it is, it's always good to elaborate, because science, being a scientist is an everyday thing. You don't have to wear a white coat to be in science. We are both in science when going through life, and um, walking through life is a part of it. Is a part of growth in science. So when the oppositional party or the other candidate or whoever, however, whatever way you have an opposition, it's always good to explain your own ideas, even as a scientist or an expert or somebody who just learned from science. I'm not a science. I'm not an official expert scientist, but I know a lot about science. So it would be wrong for me to use that word to shut down somebody who maybe argues that the earth is flat, for example. But instead, should take that time to explain to them how the earth is flat, and maybe run some experiment. So that's something we should incorporate in our daily life. So when people say trust the science, they might be saying it from a good place, because back in the days we just trusted the science and we didn't have to fear that there was lies and political agendas in it. But in current days, it's not like that. Now science is poisoned by politics. a lot of the time. So it's become dangerous. So trusted science have gone from being a good thing to currently a bad thing. So um, I would not encourage anybody to just shut people down by saying trust the science, but I would rather say explain the science to them. And now, if they want to take it, fine. If they don't want to, want to remain not knowing or maybe remain ignorant and they're not trying to learn, it's up to them.
Yeah, definitely. So, what steps do we take uh, to reclaim objective scientific inquiry and to move past this politicalization of science?
I mean, I would say we protect our institutions, our educational institution, whatever institution that we
You're
have built up.
dismantling the Department of Education.
I mean, but that's the way to, that's how we can recover. We have to protect our institutions. So we have to encourage debate, like we are talking right now. Encourage debate with the opposition party or whoever doesn't believe in science. Encourage debate. Encourage people to study and do their own research, not on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, but real research. Go to a library where people from the past have deposited knowledge and learn. Um,
I,
and then resist
I
the.
had the Library of Congress right here. I mean, I'm 78 years old. I had to learn what AI was. I mean, in order for me to have a successful podcast and do the things that I needed to do, I had to learn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nowadays, people don't want to learn. They just want to be spoon-fed information, and that's where they get it wrong. Nobody wants to sit down and, okay, I heard this, I heard that. What is true in this? Let me go back. Let me look through. You know. So the only way we can recover is resist the conflation of science. Um,
But
consensus.
didn't we do that experiment in high school? Like you tell the person on one end, the story, and you see how it is when you get to the other end. Haven't we done that?
Yeah, yeah. Then see. Well,
I mean,
we
I'm
just.
old. I'm old, but I remember things.
I'm with you. I'm with you. You don't have to be that old to know that. So I'm with you. You're not that old. You're a young man.
No, I'm a wise old man, but I mean, but
You're
you
still
know,
young. You're still young. Old is in the mind. It's all in the
right,
mind. So if
right.
you're up
No,
running a podcast,
no,
that's young. That's young at heart. That's all that matters.
so like I said, how do we reclaim? For people like you say, just telling outright lies. To really getting back to well, like A plus
Doing exactly
B
what you're
C.
doing, doing what you're doing right now. That's it. Doing what you're doing. People will lie, have a right to lie. That's the way the country is built. You cannot stop them from lying. So the only way to counter it is tell the truth and tell the truth even louder. That's it. Just tell the truth even louder. You run it a podcast where you're pushing the truth. You're pushing objectivity. You have people from with different ideas and concept, and you challenge them, and you find out the information and see how you balance out. That's it. And then protect the institution, like I said, protect what we have already that got us this far. The Supreme Court, the like you said, the Department of Education. Um, Things of that nature that have brought us this far. Try to protect them by, whichever way we can. Nowadays I don't even protesting even works anymore. But as much as we can, call the senators and call the congressmen and whoever is in charge and see how we can vote too. Vote is a big way to do it. Vote locally. It's not just when it comes to the presidential elections. This is a way we protect these things, institutions, and also encourage open debates and replication of studies and teaching, on the younger ones, the younger generation, so they can uphold what we have already.
Yeah, I mean, the word people seem to be afraid to use nowadays that is boycott. Keep that. Keep our
It's,
money keep our money in our
it,
pocket.
it used to work in the back in the days. I don't know if people have that mindset anymore to come together and boycott a certain company or a certain movement or something. Everybody be like, oh, they go behind and do what they want to do. They don't care. But I heard back in the days that's how you make changes.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how. I don't know if it still can work now.
So now I want to talk about. I promised earlier the weaponization of religion and spirituality because people seem to think that the two are the same, and they're two different total entities. So, how do you distinguish between organized religion and personal spirituality in today's world?
Organized religion is dogma. That's it. And once you take away once you take away the dogma, you can find spirituality. Um, no matter how they try, they can't weaponize spirituality because when you do try to do that, it turns into religion. Once you weaponize spirituality, it turns into a religion. That's the only way you can weaponize it. Spirituality is finding yourself, being aware of yourself. Finding it could be, um, however you see God or however you see your higher self or however you want to put it. It's an individual um, conscious state. It's an awareness that you find only by yourself. Um, Religion has always been weaponized. It's always been used as a tool. It's not new. I'm just surprised that it has lived this long. It's really surprising, and it tells me more about we as human beings, how gullible we can be for so long, and not seeing the obvious. Not saying all religions are bad; they're good in religion. I'm who I am today because of the influence of religion. There's some good things that come out of it, and there are bad things that come out of it. It's just when you affirm in your own self, you can discern these things and not let the whole wave take you with it. So I'm not one of those people that say get rid of it. No, I would say if we outgrow it as a species, as humans, awesome. If we can evolve out of it, perfect. If we need it, as long as we need it to be in peace, because I've heard people say if they don't have religion, they would commit crimes, and I'm like, are you serious? So if those people need it to be good human beings, please let them have it. Um, I don't need religion to know what is good to treat my fellow human beings. I'm more of a spiritual person. I find awareness in meditation. I find love to be comforting. Um, I see those things as a higher level of consciousness, and that is what I reach out for. Religion played its part in my life, and that was it. And that time has passed, and I hope that for other people, I hope that they can the outgrow religion and grow into spirituality. And like you said, there are two different things. Religion is dogma, which means structure, it means laws, following a certain path. And if you stray, you are going to, hell or something crazy. Spirituality is knowing that we are all one, that everything is one, everything belongs to each other, and there is no separation. And when you see that, you can understand what love really is and being in peace with other people. And no matter how you find it, you might not see it the same way I see it or the way you see it. But as long as you get there in your own way, I think the world will be better. So that's for me is the difference between spirituality and religion. Dogma is what sets them apart. No,
Yeah, I, I call myself an agnostic because I don't believe in traditional religion. It's not that I don't believe in a higher power. I just don't believe in blonde
in
haired
dogma,
blue
yeah,
eyes.
in laws and rules, yeah.
Yeah,
rituals and
yeah, yeah.
laws. If you don't
Yeah,
do this, this will
yeah.
happen. If things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been an altar boy, and like I know, the how much ritualism is involved,
Exactly.
and
Oh yeah.
so it's and that's used as a control for that audience,
Yeah.
so yeah, uh, me and religion have a problem, as you can.
As I can see,
uh,
you you are not hiding it.
no, no, no. That's one of the problems that's always been. I can only be me. I can't be me. So, so, so.
Yeah, I mean, coming from looking back, looking back now and seeing even in Africa, seeing how it has ravaged the continent, it saddens me. It's like, what point do we wake up from this sleep, and realize that I don't know, it's man made. At some point, you have to understand it's man made. It's nothing.
Has nobody heard of the American Indian? I mean, like, like I said,
You're going too far. What about the slave trade? The slave trade.
yeah,
There's a lot of examples out there.
So how do you see, as mine's plain, but in what ways do you see traditional religion being used as a tool of control in today's modern era?
The ways that it's used as a tool of control.
Yes.
Oh, politics influences it, and I'm trying in many ways. It's always been there. So it's just as we are evolving, it's also trying to evolve. It's gradually dying, but recently we've seen it being tried to resuscitate. People trying to resuscitate it and try to implement it into politics and stuff. But um, it's always been a weapon. It's always been a tool. It's been abused right from time. Humans are always trying to take advantage of of other humans, and religion has always been a great way to do it because you're promising future things that you cannot even factually show, and people buy. People sad. People. I once had a mentor who told me. He told me when I was really young. He said, my mentor. He said, there are three things you go into, you'll never be poor: be a lawyer, a doctor, a pastor. those three those three professions sell fear. So as long as there's fear in this world, you will have money with those three. Fortunately, I never got into any of them, but he said as long as you got into any of those three, you're selling. People are gonna buy because people always are afraid. They're selling poor. The lawyer keeps you out of jail. You're afraid to go to jail. The doctor keeps you alive. You're afraid to die. You pay whatever to stay alive. The pastor tells you hell is awaiting if you don't do what he says, or if you don't change, or if you don't put money in that time. You're gonna put money, and you keep putting that as long as the promises come. So it's gonna be hard to get people out of it. As long as there's fear in this world, people always want to hold on to the unknown and promises and you know religion. So, but with technology, we might have a way out of it faster. Um, I mean, because it's people start obviously seeing that some of the things that they learned as children were not factual, and they start asking more questions. And like I said, I don't advocate for people just leaving religion because a lot of the time it helps, it has its goods. So I never say, oh, okay, just leave it and go. But gradually grow in it and get to a point where you understand that, okay, this is has helped me to this point and it is good. But I'm not gonna go and commit a crime or kill somebody just because my pastor or whoever says so. I'm not going to do something wrong. But at some point, you need to stop and understand that okay, it's all man-made, and at this point, I have to make decisions that will help my society, not just me.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned religion and when you said doctor, a lawyer, or a pastor, and you talk about selling fear. Uh, it's once again, I find it very comfortable to find religion under fear, either fear of dying, or all of a sudden, the judge gives you, 20 years, and it's, oh my God, and so yeah, I think we, as people with melanin, know what it is to live under fear constantly. And it's not so much about turning to, well, back in the old days, it wasn't so much about turning to something else as it was turning toward the community and toward each other. But that's, different times.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Individualism is taking over, and it's not helping. When you don't even know your neighbor, you haven't talked to your friends in weeks. We're just living separately. So all that communion that you had back in the days, we're losing it, and it's
Yeah.
not helpful. People are having mental breakdowns, getting sick. These are things that can easily not happen if you had a community. Even poverty, getting out of poverty, you need a community, you need a foundation, um, to get out of poverty. But when people are living separately from each other, it gets more difficult. You don't even know who to call for help. You don't know where to get help from, and then things get worse. So you were right.
Yeah.
It's
I
better
mean,
when we do it as a people.
I know my neighbor's car, but I don't know my neighbor's name.
It's, it's not just your problem. It's a general problem that needs to change. And we need to change. We need to do better as a
Yeah.
people.
Whereas when I grew up, all the way home, everybody knew who who I was. That's so and so saying. Make sure you get your butt home. I mean, you know, nowadays you speak to maybe a 12-year-old, and he might pull a gun on you. Never can tell. Yeah.
Hopefully not.
No, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right.
yeah.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah.
So
Influence.
I promised I try to cut it short, make sure we got to. So I just got a few more questions for you here
Sure,
as
sure.
we kind of conclude here. With all the influences shaping our society, what gives you the most hope for the future?
Alternative media. What you're doing right now, individual podcast. Um, like I said, it could be good, it could be bad. So as long as we're using those tools for good, it gives me hope. When I watch people like you, people like me, speak truth to power, try to be objective, try to do research first, not just regurgitate what somebody else says, that we follow in another you know um, outlet or whatever. But listen to them and also try to do your own homework. I have hope in that, um, and also the growing awareness of manipulation of tactics. People are now knowing that the algorithm is rigged. They now know. Um, I don't want to say their name, but I can't get away from it. Fox News is just repeating whatever they want to do, and it's not just on one side, even on the other side. You have your own, you have liberal news, which just also, I would argue, not as bad as the other side, but also bad. So people are beginning to realize this and have their own personal pushbacks, and now saying, oh, you're not covering this, why are you not covering it? There's a breach in communication, and war plans were revealed on a open net or whatever it was, Signal, and it's taken 3 days, and this news outlet hasn't covered one thing about it.
and this other one is covering every single minute of the day. People are beginning to see that.
I'm mad because I wasn't included in the conversation. I'm on Signal too.
I know, right? I know, right? Would have been safer with you there. At least we know you've been in combat. You're a veteran, so I would have been more confident. I'll be okay.
And see, I've seen this before, because if you remember how we were treated when we came home from Vietnam, the protests, the whole 9 yards. I mean, and to us, the guys that were there, was because it happened because people were seeing what it was on national TV every night. And it turned the people against us, even though we were supposedly fighting for them.
I read about it. Yeah,
I mean, I actually went to jail before I got out of the airport because of some remarks, that some civilians had made. And, I came home, I'm all, I got my little uniform and stuff on, feeling good about myself and whatnot, and here comes an idiot. So, quite naturally, I come from a hostile environment, and there's only one way I know how to treat a hostile environment. So, but, nowadays, those things are understood. You have PTSD, you have anger management. I've been in anger management, and this is no lie, since 1972. And it's not because I still have those urges, but it's like anything else. If you want to stay on this plane, you have to keep up with what's happening on this plane. You can't use the technology that you learned in 1977 in 2024. So you have to keep up. There are more tools available to you. We didn't think about meditation and things like that. You know what I mean? And these are things, like I go to yoga, I go to physical therapy, things that I do acupuncture, things that I had never thought of in 1980 or 1984. So if you don't progress, along the curve that things are progressing, then I think we learned this in high school too. Then you stay on the bottom of the bell.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
I didn't mean to go into a rant there, but I'm
no. I'm all ears. I'm listening. I always listen to my older friends and people that I know have more life experience than I am. There's always a gem in there. And before we get into something else, I'd love to say thank you very much for your service. And you guys did courageous things, and we the younger generation appreciate that. Hopefully, more people like me out there to say thank you.
Well, it's not so much a sore now as it was 50, 60 years, 60 years ago, 40 years ago. Now people see, like you said, thank you for your service, but after 40 years, sometimes, it's like, yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I hope you get all you deserve. I hope the government, make sure, that's where the leadership and political things comes in too. It always boils down to,
but now, not at this age, not only do I have to worry about my veterans benefits, I also have to worry about my Social Security. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
crazy.
Come on now.
Really crazy.
I mean, really, I think they say something like 20% of the homeless that you see out are homeless
I heard
veterans.
that. I
Yeah,
heard that, and that's sad. That's saddening.
I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. But
Doesn't
you know,
doesn't.
so how can individuals resist these engineered narratives and reclaim independent thought?
I mean, I think we've covered a little bit of this before. It's just cultivating critical thinking, question sources, where you hear things, where you get your news. Do your own research, follow the money, see who pays that media, or see who pays whatever news you hear, and make sure that it's not influenced for an agenda. Um, Seek out, reduce dependence on algorithm networks, social media. Let's reduce our dependence on it and think critically for once on our own and do research on our own. Um, and seek out voices like yours, people who are independently going against, um, pushing against the propagandas and the narratives, questioning the narratives. Seek out people like that, pay attention to them, and make sure they're not following on an agenda themselves. And think for yourself. And that's the only way you can resist it. Like I said, and protect the institutions that were built over the years, whichever way you can. It could be calling your congressman, it could be calling your senator, it could be however you whatever means you can sacrifice, whatever way you can sacrifice to protect what we have. I mean, I think these are the ways we can start.
Well, yeah. Now I'm going to let you do your own commercial here. So how do our followers connect with you and follow the Quality Experience show?
That's it. The Qualia podcast, the Qualia Experience podcast, the Qualia Experience podcast. I'm on Spotify and now Amazon. Probably be getting to YouTube later on this month. We'll be launching YouTube this month and getting to all streaming podcast outlets out there this month. But for now, we are on Spotify and Amazon.
And is any particular day, any particular time
Oh
when
no,
you?
no particular day. I just I publish. I try to publish at least twice a month. Now I would be more regular now than twice a month because of the heavy school workload. Uh, like I said, in the middle of my doctorate right now, so it's a little bit of work. And I'm the sole host, and I have one IT guy that work with me, but yeah, so I try to push out as much as I can, twice a month, every bi-weekly. But we I have a couple of contents right now that people can listen to. I think I just published on was it on Saturday? I think 2 3 days ago. So there's a fresh episode out currently, the Qualia Experience podcast.
Okay, and so you said a couple times a month. Now, you might not. You could. I guess this is one of those optional questions. Does your doctorate uh, and your show, do you find a way to intertwine them, or uh, you know, uh, are they
Great,
two separate projects?
great question. They are not intertwined. They're two separate things. My
Okay.
doctorate is in business, and this is in the philosophy and metaphysical things and of that nature. Um, but but I would say this: um, I will be going into academia, so they might merge at that point.
Ah,
Um,
okay. So
yeah,
your plans are to teach.
yeah, professorship in a
Okay,
couple of
all
years.
right. And are you do you teach now, or is that are you
Ah,
waiting until you get all of your you
yeah, I mean, I own and run a small consulting firm here in Atlanta. I have a couple of clients, small businesses. We're growing. Started with three, then we get to 10. I think we're around 15 or so. So yeah, it's sort of teaching, but not really teaching. I do a risk assessment for the business. We've gone into taxes too, so we do help them with their taxes, and we build strategies to expand and to scale. Um, so yeah, so I'm doing that now, but hopefully I will retain that. I'm not gonna stop my business just because I'm going to professorship. The whole idea is to simultaneously do both. So
Okay.
hopefully by then it'll be grown enough that it would need me physically there every day or every other day. So that's the whole idea. But the podcast will always remain. I will always I might cut down, but I will always try to keep putting out contents because this is what I love. I love that's my fun thing is
Yeah.
talking about uh, politics. I don't do politics now, but probably in the future we'll incorporate that. I like to talk about politics. I like to talk about social things, social issues, philosophy, and metaphysical stuff. Qualia, things like Qualia, and things like that, things of that nature.
I'm really gonna, invite you back. I don't have
Oh,
now, but
I'll be, I'll,
we're going to talk about some politics and social
yeah.
issues.
I really appreciate it. It was fun having this with you. This is my I don't know, maybe your guest. I mean, your audience doesn't know, but this is my first time being a guest at any podcast. So I thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, the object is, to make you feel comfortable and, want to, like really give us the information, that,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I
that's,
hope I tried. I
you did well, sir. And
appreciate it. Yeah.
as I said, we will be looking to have you back. So
Oh, that would be
thank you so
amazing.
much.
I would love to come back. Thank you so much, Mr. James. Yeah.
You have a great night.
You
Uh,
too. You too. Thank
I,
you so much for having me.
I try not to keep you too long. Tell the
Oh
family I
no,
said good night.
that's fine. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You have a good evening.
You too.
Yeah. So, yes, that was our guest for this evening. And we hope that we got the proper. Oh, wow. What's going on here? Uh, hmm. Anyway, we're hoping that you got the information that you need. I am definitely going to have Mr. Hughes back on the show. Um, as I said, I think that there's a merge between organized religion and politics, as well as social justice and injustice. So I thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to talking to you on Friday. Friday, my guest will be Mr. Ed Creasy, uh, who went from one of the FBI's, from being on the FBI list to being converted. So we will talk to Ed on Friday. Have a great night, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show.